All right, I'm here with Morder, and say your names and what you do in the band.
Dreadful Goose, lead guitar, vocals.
I'm Santiago and I'm the drummer.
Say that again.
I'm Santiago and I'm the drummer.
Eric, play guitar.
All right, guys. Well, tell us a little bit about your history as a band, how you came together, how you got to this point, that whole thing.
Guess it's me.
It's all Hector. He knows it.
I founded the band about like three and a half years ago, right? It's about January 2009. And I got out, I had just done a project and I was sick and tired of it. I figured that if I was going to do something, I wanted to do something, that had a potential to be something someday. So I decided to start writing my own music, and then in June I met up with Santi, and that's really when it started, I guess, in full effect, when I actually had the first member. He's actually the only member that's been here since the beginning. So I've had like crazy lineup changes, and I've been through about 8 or 9 guitar players. This is Erick's second tour with us, hopefully permanent. But yeah, it's been a crazy 3 years, I guess, 3.5, heading to 4. So I guess it's,
I left because Hector's a bitch.
yeah, you could handle it. No, but yeah, it's been about 3.5 years since I started the project in January. I spent a few months writing the whole record, and then when I met up with Santi is when we actually started working on the drum tracks. And then at first the original plan was to have me on guitar, him on drums, a bass player, and a vocalist. But I couldn't find someone who I liked to do vocals, so by default I just kind of practiced, and over time it became the vocalist. And we've had several lineup changes, like a bunch of them. I've had about like I guess 10, maybe 9 or 10 guitar players, about 6 or 7 bass players in that whole first year and a half that where me and him were doing music. So it was a bit of a rough, to get this lineup that we have now. Even recently we just got our new bass player, so we're still getting him up to be a part of this whole little adventure. But that's, for the most part, it's the general idea.
That's the gist of it.
Yeah, that's the gist of it, without going into too much detail.
All right, what made you choose the metal sound for your sound for the band?
I was talking to this with one of my guitar students earlier. Actually, I told him, to make a longer story short, I told him that when I was 13, my friend had introduced me to Pantera, and when I first heard that Cowboys from Hell album and the first song on the album, which is that, it changed me. So, and then from then on out, I was like, from the age of 13, I knew what I really wanted to do with my life, and that was play guitar, being involved in the whole metal scene, and just do all that. So.
Very cool. So what do you think makes the band unique in a genre that's pretty saturated with bands doing the same thing?
Believe it or not, we all have our own styles. We argue with each other all the time about whose style is the best. I always get into arguments with Eric.
Especially Hector and I, because we technically guitarists from sort of like different generations, even though we're the same age. Yeah. Because Hector's all about the old school death metal. Well, I've always been more into like the more modern and progressive type approach to it, and it's just a very interesting dynamic because you hear a very crazy combination of like the old school and the more modern scene between the two of us. What's up?
Answer the question. What do you think makes you unique in your drumming?
I'm just influenced by many artists like Derek Roddy, George Clydes, and I don't know. I just have my own style.
What about you guys? What are your influences?
I think what makes the whole band unique is that, like I said, we don't have the same taste in music, even though we all listen to metal in some way. I had my ideas as what I wanted the band to be when I first started it, and he kind of helped me progress as a musician. Cause like before him, the whole concept of blast beats was just like I didn't give a fuck about that. I didn't really.
Hector just wanted to make a thrash metal band.
Yeah, I had like a one-track mind as to what I wanted, and then jamming with him and seeing how he had different tastes in his drumming actually made me progress as a guitar player and as a composer. So it really evolved, and same thing with having him. You know, I have a guitar player that I know I can rely on to do certain things and to really just add to that to add flavor to the music, as opposed to just being another drone who's just fucking playing, you know. Especially when you hear like our demo stuff, when you hear his solos, it's completely different contrasts. And I like how that all we just contrast within each other, like with his own style, with his style in mind. Again, like he said, I'm more into the old school stuff, so that obviously shows. And then when you get a taste of what he can do and what he can do, it just really just combines into one whole thing. And I really think I like the way it works, you know, between all of us. So, I guess that.
Great. So what would be your dream show to play? Like dream lineup, dream, like that.
That for me, it wouldn't happen because my two favorite guitar players are both dead, unfortunately. But if I could have the opportunity to open for Def and or Pantera, that would make me like cry.
Could have.
That would make me cry. Like I'd be like a little kid.
What about you?
For me.
Dream lineup, The Faceless, Unearth, and maybe Def.
All right, Eric.
I would love to play with Obscura, Cynic, and Animals as leaders.
Very nice. All right, so we have a question of the week every week, and this week's question is, what is the craziest show you've ever been to?
That we've been to or played?
Either one.
It's kind of hard. What about you, Eric?
I know mine. It's I forgot, when was it that we saw Cynic and Obscura play together?
Yeah, that was at the Gramercy.
Yeah, we were at the Gramercy and we saw Cynic and Obscura play together, which was, I thought I would never get to see Cynic play because they were kind of at that point where you didn't know where they were, whether they were going to come back or not, and all of a sudden, bam, there they are. One of like my biggest influences. So as far as like being a crazy show, it might not have been too crazy, as in not too many mosh pits or people jumping around, but just the experience itself of being able to see two of my favorite bands of all time play together was pretty crazy for me, at least.
How about you?
Sons of the Underground in 2005 with headliner Lamb of God. I saw like 30 bands on Earth, Strapping Young Lad, so many bands. It was great.
For me, mine was recently the Def 2 All Tour, because I'm a huge Def fan. I never thought I'd get the chance to even see the lineup live because, you know, Chuck passed in 2001 due to cancer. And it was nice to see all the musicians that worked with him on all those albums throughout the years. They put on a tour playing his music and the music that they helped him write on those records, and it was great to see that. I never thought I'd see anything near. I never thought I'd see the Def banner on stage live ever, and to be in the front row and to witness all that, my favorite musicians all playing my favorite music, you know, songs, was the best for me. I got the T-shirt from that.
So that's pretty awesome, I have to say.
I had the set list too, but I lost it.
Oh. You guys, do you guys plan on touring anytime soon, or?
Definitely. I'm in the works right now. I'm talking with some of my friends from some other bands that we played with around either in the past or that we're going to be playing with soon. Trying to organize some stuff now, but unfortunately due to financial reasons and trying to get this record finally released, it's a bit of a process. So we're looking at late 2012, but it looks like now it'll be something like early to mid 2013. So hopefully soon we'll definitely hit the East Coast and destroy it all.
So tell us about this record you're working on.
Like I said, the music has been written for about 3 years. It's just, again, it's very expensive to produce things with, you know, and put out a quality product, especially
since we're going independent on this. You know, we're creating this record on our own, and any musician who's even attempted that can tell you how difficult of a process it is, because you have to get all the equipment yourself, find all the right people, and there are no guarantees.
I'm actually a co-founder of a record label called The Covenant, which we're up and coming, you know, we're doing our own thing with my friend Michael. And me and him are the owners of The Covenant, and he's a professional audio engineer, so he's helping us do our record, you know. And at the same time, we're also recording and producing other bands' works. So while the money that we do get from that, you know, we like to give back, and because there's not much of a scene around here in Union City. So, you know, we help the other bands by providing them something to, you know, some means of recording in an affordable way. And with the little money that we do get from that, we put it right back into the studio, and hopefully, you know, when we get enough money, and we get enough money and stuff, resources, we can do our record for real this time. So it's a bit of a wait. It's been about 3 years, 3.5, heading to 4. But I feel that once it comes out, it'll be very much worth it.
Very cool, very cool. How would you guys describe your sound to someone who's never heard of you before?
Death on steroids.
Pretty much. I would say it's very. It is very extreme, but it's very
extreme, aggressive, but intelligent.
Yeah. What Erick said. It's very extreme. It's very aggressive, but it's intelligent. It's not a bunch of monkeys on stage. We've taken a lot of time to hone our skills musically. For me as a composer, you know, and it's taken a long time to get to where we are now, and I really like where we are now. And I feel that it will only get better with our new bassist. And even with these guys, you know, and myself, we'll keep continuing to grow as musicians. But again, I view that I think that our sound is very, very intense, very in your face, because it's something that I really like. I like to, you know, I'm not saying that everyone has to enjoy it or like our music, but at the very least respect that we are musicians, that we really care about what we do, and we try to show off, not in a bad way, but show all of our hours of hard work and all the things that we've been through, and try to let that out, and just on stage especially, just have fun and enjoy it. So definitely, I guess, heavy, intelligent, and in your face.
Speaking of having fun on stage, what's the craziest thing you've done on stage?
Fuck. What about you? You have time to think.
We don't get very crazy on stage because we're too busy thinking about our music, honestly. You know, we're not a party band. We're very serious. You know, none of us have ever gotten drunk on stage that I know of. But, you know, we take our music very seriously. So when we're on stage, we're there to play music and, you know, kill people, not have a good time necessarily.
Not have a good time killing people?
Yeah, basically.
Figuratively, not literally.
Yeah.
Figuratively. In my mind, I'm destroying everyone, but...
Tell us about what training you had coming into the band in your instrument.
Training as far as...
Musical instruments.
Well, me, I've never, ever had a guitar teacher until now, because... And not for electric guitar. I've only had a teacher for classical guitar instruction, because I'm a music major at New Jersey City University. So as far as guitar playing, I've never had a teacher for electric, for what I do in the band. All of that I had to teach myself, and again, I was too broke growing up, so I couldn't afford music lessons, and I had to work for all the equipment that I have. So I've been working very hard and trying to get some new gear and all this. But as far as guitar playing, I've always been my own teacher. And it's cool to say that I actually do teach now. I gave a lesson earlier today, so I am, I guess you could say, a guitar teacher as well as a student of myself. You know, I like to grow with the times, and in a way, even though I'm so rooted in the old school, but I like to progress as a musician, definitely. You know, whether that mean, you know, new techniques or new ways of composing. But I do like to progress as a musician, but as I've never had a guitar instructor, ever.
Practicing with the band has made me play better. That's about it.
How did you learn to play drums in the first place?
Using pencils on my computer desk.
That's right.
I like that answer a lot, Erick.
Very honest. I'm probably the most fortunate of the three of us because 8th grade I decided to pick up the guitar, and the first thing I did was tune it backwards. But then I realized I was incorrect, and when I came back to it a couple of months later, I actually tried to learn a couple of chords, and my parents were nice enough to provide me with guitar lessons. So I did have a guitar teacher. His name was Pablo. I forget his last name. But he was awesome, and he taught me a lot of the basics. And then I went to high school, and that's kind of where everything changed, because then I took more serious classes in high school. And I actually was a music major in high school, and I learned a lot about composing and guitar work and scales and arpeggios and everything. So by the time I was in the band, I was fairly educated enough to defend myself.
It's the onslaught.
Why did I think you were in CAD? I don't know. I thought you were a CAD major for some reason.
Audio
cat?
Audio tech, yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Audio tech.
Obviously. I don't know why. I think it's because someone else I knew was in CAD who also did audio tech. Anyway, here at SiqScene News, our big thing is helping promote other local acts. So what other local acts do you like? What other local bands do you really love and you want to give a shout out to?
Okay, well, they're no longer in business.
Are there any?
Definitely bands that I like and that I want to give a shout out to.
Local, yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely my friends from Salo. You know, we just played a show in Brooklyn with. Hopefully them, you know, we would like to organize a tour with them and definitely go out and destroy the whole East Coast. They're a nice black metal act from this tri-state area as well. So definitely my friends from Salo.
Spell that for me.
Fucking
Just
burnt.
type it and spell it so I can.
I'd like to give a shout out to my friends from Xenophile that are, you know, they're getting their stuff together, and hopefully once they get their stuff all, you know, ready and set to go, hopefully we can start doing some shows with them. Definitely my friend Mike from Morbid Terror.
Morbid Terror.
That's right. Definitely my buddy and my co-partner of the Covenant. Definitely to them as well, to Morbid Terror. So you know, definitely keep an eye out for those bands, and you know, we might, if everything goes accordingly, you know, hopefully we can all get together and do a nice East Coast tour and really destroy the East Coast, you know. That it.
Sorry.
I've been burping like crazy. I'm sorry.
I'm like,
Look at this.
no, it's okay. Or did he cover it?
That's pretty much it, yeah.
All right. Anything else to say to the world, to your fans, people who don't know you yet?
Nah, I got this. The old school slogan. You weren't here for this. I guess the slogan for the record, and I guess I'll say it and then I'll explain it, is listen with open ears, let your emotions take over, and get ready to witness our aggressions controlled. The whole point of the slogan is to tell people that yes, you know, we are extreme, and I guess you can say we're a brutal, heavy death metal band. But there's a lot more behind the scenes. You know, everyone thinks that, oh, you know, we have nice equipment and all this stuff. You know, it's so easy for these guys to come up on stage and just play. It's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and it's really a science. I used to hate death metal, actually, and it's ironic that I ended up playing it and loving the genre so much. And I was one of those people that thought, you know, oh, these people are idiots. They don't know what they're doing with their instruments. It's just a bunch of noise. And then as I started getting into the genre, I realized that it's much more of a science, and that it takes time to hone your skills. It takes time to immerse yourself in the music and the style of the whole death metal genre, and that I feel that we bring some sort of, I guess, creativity that's lacking nowadays, I feel, personally. Because everyone's trying to outgun each other, and everyone's trying to be heavier than the next band and heavier than these guys. And I feel that when people start writing music from their hearts and from their souls and what they feel, that the music industry will once again begin to rise as opposed to diminish the way it's become. You know, it's become something that it's so money-based, and it wasn't like that back in the days. And that's why I'm so rooted in the whole old school style, because back in the day the bands did it because they loved it. They didn't get paid very much, and they did it because they loved it, and eventually, you know, they did go on to become successful. And so I hope the same for us. I hope that other people will start writing music for the sake of expressing themselves rather than making money, and seeing it as a, unfortunately it's a business, but you know, seeing it more for the creative,
the artistic point of view.
Exactly, the more artistic point of view and the more expressive and individual point of view, as opposed to the generic way of viewing things.
Great. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
We are Morder. Is your scene sick?